Welcome to AI Speedrun. Today we have Iccha Sethi, the VP of Engineering at Vanta. 1 to 5, how much has AI completely transformed your team's velocity?
I'm gonna put it at a number.
So which part of the dev cycle do you think AI is the most helpful for?
I think I would put it in two places. I would put it on testing, and it's been exciting not only for engineers, but also for like engineering leaders like myself, empowering me to be closer to the code, be more self-sufficient than before.
So welcome to the AI Speedrun. I'm here with Iccha Sethi. Iccha, do you want to say hi and introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, I am Iccha. I am the VP of Engineering here at Vanta and excited to be here.
Huge Vanta fan. I'm so excited you are here. We've got 3 questions for you about how you're deploying AI on your team. So the first question is,
Okay, sounds good.
1 to 5, how much has AI completely transformed your team's velocity?
Gonna put it at a number 3.
Why is it at a number 3?
So I think traditionally for engineers, people think that, yes, there's tools like Cursor and Copilot, which have been really good for certain use cases like test generation, getting started on smaller projects. But I feel like the other benefits for team velocity have been, ChatGPT and Claude are great brainstorming partners for engineers too when they're writing their RFCs or doing incident postmortems. So they've helped like various parts of an engineer's life cycle. I think the reason why it's not quite yet a 5 is tools which do code generation, depending on the state of your code base, can sometimes be a hit or miss. And in real world, we're not doing a lot of starter projects. We are working with like years of various types of patterns baked into your code base. And AI tools are not like out of the box thinking about, oh, this engineering team really wants to up level its patterns or is moving towards this new pattern. So we're quite not yet there at a 5 yet. They're good companions, starter guides, and still helpful. So that's why it's kind of like in the middle at a 3.
It's so interesting. It's basically our team's experience too. And actually one of the things that's really interesting is like on our team, if we had to say how much it's transformed velocity, the more senior the engineer, the more it's transformed. And actually for a junior engineer, often we get the opposite effect, where because they don't have enough experience yet to know what done and good looks like, sometimes when the AI just gets to done, they submit a PR and it actually would have been higher quality and like more likely to be approved if they had just done it themselves.
That's such a great insight. I do notice that the more senior the engineer, the more innovative they are about how to leverage AI too, and unblock themselves. Yeah, that's such a great observation.
I'm curious if you had to make a prediction this time next year, where do you think the bubble would be on the scale?
Ooh. Okay. I think definitely it would move up to like a 4 or maybe a 4.5. I think again, it's not really going to replace software engineers or like get rid of them completely. But I think if code generation can continue to get smarter about more taking into account second order impacts in the code base and more historical context and future context, definitely I think the output quality will start getting higher and unlocking more of the team's output.
That's cool. I hope so. You ready
I
for
hope so
question
too.
2?
Yes. Mhm.
So from 1 to 5, how much do you agree with this statement? Or just kidding, it's not from 1 to 5. So which part of the dev cycle do you think AI is the most helpful for? Can you move the bubble to where in this 5-part Venn diagram you think it would be?
Ooh, okay. I think I would put it in two places. I would put it on testing and other, if I had to pick the two. Um,
Tell me
so
more.
we've been using a third party vendor for actually generating unit tests for some of the older parts of our code base to increase test coverage. And AI has been a great tool for like generating tests and improving our test coverage. So that's where it's been super helpful. I think the other is in communication. So, for example, in writing docs, like, AI or ChatGPT is a great like brainstorming partner on like, hey, I have a few bullets. Can you help me flesh this out? Or I'm thinking about this. What are some gaps? So definitely like idea brainstorming and communication. AI has been super helpful for.
That's cool. That's really cool. I remember pre AI, the more you invested in writing test cases, or like the more you invested in writing tests, the more your tests would just break over time because they were not maintained. Is your vendor also helping you update each test as your code base expands?
Not quite yet, but I can see them getting there. I also definitely see engineers leveraging cursor prompts for generating unit tests in their code base too, as they code. The vendor mostly is helping us backfill like old parts of our code base where we initially didn't have enough coverage. Mhm.
That's so cool. Question three. On the scale, AI has changed what engineering skills we're hiring for.
Ooh, it's a good one. I love this game show style format. I think it's number three. Um, I think there's two aspects to it. One aspect is probably people don't expect this is like growth mindset becomes even more important than ever in what we hire for. Like, even if something we were discussing as an engineering team is like, even if you don't ask specific AI tools, usage, or like questions like that, the biggest thing I'm looking for in my new hires is how open or willing are they to experiment and adopt new tools which come out and have that growth mindset. So that's become more important than ever. There's always been there are people who are like, oh, every new tool is just a distraction. We don't need to try it out. I need some more open mindedness on let's try it. If it doesn't work, sure, we don't have to try it out. So that's definitely one. The second thing we are discussing internally a lot more on, how should our interview processes change so that we allow people to leverage all these AI tools more and kind of evaluate that as part of the equation, because we wanted to simulate real world. You're going to have these tools at your disposal. How do you simulate that in an interview and let them have access to all these tools and still evaluate them for the skills we think are important?
Wait, Itcha, are engineers interviewing for your team allowed to use like cursor during their interview?
Not yet, but that's the plan. Like, we're trying to figure out how to make that possible in the future. Yeah.
That's so cool. Okay, we've been thinking about the same thing. We don't know what to do because, like, obviously on the job you'll have all these tools, but also we want to learn how you think. And so if you're letting AI do that, like, then how useful is the interview? 100%.
Yeah, yeah. So there's an interesting point someone mentioned to me is like code review becomes a more important skill than ever before with AI code generation. And
Right.
how do you evaluate that more in your interview process? I
Oh,
thought
I
that was
love
pretty
that.
insightful.
Right, right. Each engineering is becoming more and more reviewer as the code is
Exactly.
becoming more and more coder. That's so cool. Right. The other thing you said, I thought was really interesting too. So, like in the past, there were tons of new, like shiny objects in engineering, and actually, someone who was very curious to chase those would become distracted. And actually, the best engineering teams sort of tended to stick to the boring things that just work. And now, actually, there's all these new shiny things coming out, and the best engineers are the ones who like can pick point which ones are going to work for them and leverage them right away versus doing just old boring things that work slowly.
100%. And there's a place and time where you still stick to the old and boring things, like don't introduce 100 new programming languages in your code base. But there are places where if you can make your workflow more efficient, you should be willing to experiment with these tools. Mhm.
It's awesome. Final question. What are your favorite AI tools or AI use cases on your team?
Ooh. Okay, so we use AI to for a lot of product use cases for our customers too. So we use, Claude, we use OpenAI, and Vanta is, a trust management platform with an automated compliance product. And we've been actually leveraging AIs in a lot of ways to make our customers more efficient. We have a RAG pipeline. We use LLMs, lots of prompting, lots of eval. So it's been pretty exciting for me to see how we are using AI to make our customers' life easier in a more, legacy space like compliance. So that's been super exciting. Apart from that, a combination of ChatGPT, Claude, V0, Cursor, um, it's been exciting not only for engineers but also for like engineering leaders like myself, empowering me to be closer to the code, be more self-sufficient than before. It's definitely been a huge unlock.
Wow. So in your world where you're not like hands-on code, how are you leveraging these things?
So this was my like winter break passion project where I'm like, okay, Car says this new cool thing. Let me do some vibe coding and get a feel for like what it's like. And one of the problems which had been like I had been curious about is like, oh, we'd had a bunch of incidents in the last quarter. I kind of wanted to see if there were any themes. And so I'm like, ooh, I have this side project. Normally, I would ask an engineer to go run an analysis and come back and present it to me. But I just used, Cursor, wrote my own TypeScript program to fetch things from Incident IO, go call Google Docs to fetch postmortems, then run them through like LLMs to generate insights and tweak things. And I was able to generate my own version of report for like what was going on. And I thought that was pretty cool that I could do it myself without having to depend on someone. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Thank you. Yeah.
I feel like that's a startup. Like should you start a company that does that? So, Itcha, where can people find you online? How can they find your team and what you're building?
Of course, you have my LinkedIn up there. We have actually an engineering blog post too, where we post about all the efforts we are doing with AI and other cool things in engineering on our Vanta blog website. We are actively hiring, so you have the careers link up there. And yeah, and that's my LinkedIn profile. So feel free to message me if you have any questions.
Itcha, this was so fun. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I love the game show format. That was pretty cool.